Welcome back to Seablock. Yes, we've been making some changes. I've been basically upgrading this belt down here that we've got going to our power plant. Basically make sure we get enough carbon coming through now that we have 3 separate buildings producing carbon, all in different ways actually. So yeah, I did get a couple of suggestions from commenters. Thank you very much for the suggestions. One of them was to use liquefiers instead of chemical plants, and that is, remember when I was talking about making carbon? So let's take a look at carbon here as a recipe. You can make it from charcoal and steam in a few different things. One is a chemical plant. You see the liquefier and chemical plant. This is the one I've been using, the chemical plant. Crafting speed 1.75 and consumption is 258. Okay, but liquefiers is 129 consumption, so half pretty much. But the crafting speed is basically, it's not quite as fast. You know, it's a little bit slower, but it's not half the speed. So if you wanted to save a little bit more power, you could certainly do that, and you could put that anywhere where you're actually using your steam. So here, instead of using these 3, we could replace them with liquefiers easily enough. And you can see right now the outputs are all blocked. That's what the yellow means, and that's good. We could also, and you can see here, yeah, it's going on to only one side of this particular belt. So you could ensure that that is going to be okay by building a few more inserters first of all, and making sure both sides of this belt are actually covered. We have something along this sort of lines, that'll do, and I'll just copy and paste this across to all of them. I guess technically I should probably put one on this side of the line as well. In fact, let's just move these across so that they're all pretty much the same. Yeah, so they're all on the right side of it. Okay, so that is just going to copy and paste. And we're going to copy and paste that. And they'll make sure that they feed both sides of the belt. Anyway, we can just, or should be able to directly replace them with liquefiers. Now, I may already have, yeah, I already have a few. Here's a liquefier. And if I set this up, it looks like it's identical with the exception of where the input is. So that needs a slight change, but otherwise we should be okay. So I'm just going to quickly move all of these. And I'm going to put them in sort of here. Yeah, I just have to move the pipe at the top. So 1, 2, 3, and we might even need a 4th if it can't keep up. But we will just need to move this at the top. So here, this steam input needs to just change a little bit. And we need to be a bit more careful about that. In fact, yeah, getting that steel in there is going to be a bit harder. Let me just get this done first of all. Copy, paste, paste. Cool. And this does, however, need steam, so we have to get rid of these inserters, and we'll have to be a bit more, yeah, a little bit sort of craftier with our steel input. Yeah, steam input. There we go. So there's the steam input, but now, of course, there's no carbon. So a few options that you've got there are basically go underground belts, and you can grab them from the underground belt. That's probably what I'll just do. It's sort of a quick and dirty approach to doing that, but it should actually work. There we go. And then we can literally grab and turn things so to turn basically right angles. So there, there, and there. Okay. And then we can just configure this one to grab from here and feed outwards. Yes, it is extending and rotating at the same time. I did say don't do that, but I'm just a bit short of room here. So I will do that for now, but I will think about changing that later. And of course here we're going to do the same thing, so pick up and drop. Okay, so it is feeding in. As long as these can feed in faster than what it's being used, then yeah, maybe. They're all green or yellow, which is good, which means it's just the output. If they went red, then that would be a different thing, or we wouldn't be feeding things in fast enough. Otherwise, this is much less power, basically half the power of all of that. So that's going to help us a little bit more with efficiency. You can see we've got more than enough power for right now, but it just gets us going there. So do think about that upgrade. However, what we're going to look at today is over here. You can see if we have some mineral sludge at some point. I did have some mineral sludge. Why am I running out of mineral sludge? Am I just producing a lot of stuff? Let's just take a look. Mineral sludge. Look at slag slurry, which is next step back. Slag slurry is dropped, which means somewhere I have a shortage of something. You see all these electrolyzers? Well, yeah, I have 2 factories full of them now. So there is plenty of slag going out on this line, and it isn't being depleted by satisfaction. It may just be a lag time while I was fixing the power and stuff like that. So that's going to come around here, come over here, and then are we feeding out? There's a slag slurry. We've got plenty of input from the sulfuric acid, so we should be getting, once this catches up, more slag slurry going out of there. Anyway, slag slurry, we can work out off camera, but in the meantime, we need to go and get more tin and lead, and this is over here. When we get some slag slurry here, I connected it up to the rest of this, so they're going to start using and producing that stuff at the moment. You see these are blocked on the output, so we do need to get this dealt with somehow. Easiest way to just deal with that for the moment is just to get something temporary set up so that we have it running, and there we have that. What I was thinking about doing, should we actually feed it that way? I do sort of need to loop out and get rid of the stone if that's the case, but that's easy enough to do. I can configure this to be an output priority to the right, and then filter the crushed stone, crushed stone, and that's going to filter to the right. So we can then just send this, just move this out one. There we go, and send it out and down. That's going to help. It has both of them just because it filtered it basically split them before I actually set up the filter, and then we'll just feed that back around here, and we don't need to do anything else other than just send it to the belt. There just isn't enough capacity right now to need an extra splitter. Let's be a bit more, you know, economical. And then right here, again, I need to just get rid of that first few before everything comes fine, and then we've got a nice output here, and these of course can be brought up here, and we can do something with them. In this particular case, we're going to want to get some metal mixing furnaces, I think. They are very, very nice compared to the original ones. If I have the steel... Oh, it's just stone brick. And my inventory's full. My inventory's always full whenever I need to do this. Let me just drop you and drop you. And I'll pick them up in a minute and swap my inventory out. In the meantime, where are my metal mixing furnaces? There they are. And yeah, we'll just grab them here. Remember, one line's going to come in here, so we might want to move them a bit further across. Let's just say, for the moment, let's put them in line. Okay. And as before, we have to be a bit careful. We need to send some more of this this carbon out there, but we can work that around. Well, I've not even connected this up yet, so we could be a bit sneakier with this. We could just put it here, connect it this way, and then do something like this here. Okay, and then we can put a splitter in. That's going to be awful, but it doesn't matter because I can just bring them in one lower. Yes, it is a little bit different, but hey. Yeah, like that. Doesn't matter that those are swapped. And there we go. Exactly enough to actually get that working. We then just need a few more inserters. And we'll be able to get this working as well. We can just copy and paste the recipes from across here. We are going to just need another one, but that's easy enough done. And I'm going to copy and paste 1, 2. And copy you onto there. Put this one here. Copy and paste. And then that should be everything once everything gets connected with power, like that. They are going to need a recipe, of course. So we are going to need to tell them what they're going to process. In this case, tin plate will be just fine. So they've got carbon. They've got carbon. They've got basically bobmonium. And these have got rubite. And of course, that does mean that they are producing tin, which means... if we can get tin out of the other side here and flip this around, if we just process some more belt, that will just happen in the background. We'll flip this around and we'll be able to feed tin this way. And if I just flip this around so everything goes the other way, I think that'll work. Yeah. Okay. And then we can just feed onto this side of the line. Yes, this isn't efficient, and it will need to be replaced with this kind of setup, or at least a bigger version of that setup, fairly soon. But for the meantime, it's not terribly important by comparison to just getting some tin going. And this just makes sure it goes onto that side of the line. You could, in fact, what we can do, we can just be a bit more Bob-like, and just configure this to off output onto that side of the line, always, and then that works as well. Looks a little bit neater. I'm, you know, up in the air as to whether we actually want to do that for longer term. Makes it a little bit harder for people to understand from the visual layout, but otherwise it is going to work, and it's going to work well. So that is everything that these need for solder, at least for this sort of primitive approach to solder, going with solder plate, etc. We are going to need some more tin in here, however. Tin, if you can see, needs to be brought into this box, or, you know, close to that box, wherever. Got a little bit of tin left. And we're also going to need some, I'm going to say, iron. Yeah, so that's for that box. And I think we also need some copper. And that requires quite a lot of inputs, and I don't have a lot of spare space. In fact, I don't have enough spare space to do that. So I think what we'll need to do is at some point convert across to wood instead of all this down here, and have that being done. So for the moment, I'm able to just basically dump a whole bunch of metal in here without, you know, without the need to actually do much to it, and we just come back, see, off it there goes, starting to produce circuits. And I'm going to be using those manually, at least for the moment, because they're for the more complex machines. But it does mean I can actually sort of connect tin. I can get tin. If I don't want the circuits going out of the factory, I can just bring tin across this way, get that configured, and bring it into that box. And what we want to do is probably have a splitter to do that. Where is that input? It's the next to the top input on the outside, so it's that line right there. So we're going to want to do something like this, okay? And we are going to want to basically split it with a priority, because we're going to make sure that we don't run out of tin to our solder line. Okay, so that needs to be set up. We want it configured right there, which is good. And we want output priority to be to the left, i.e. always feed this if you can. If not, just send the rest in to that line. Okay, and that will all line up, and that will all be quite nice. We've got carbon, we've got, so we've got copper, sorry, tin, and we've got lead. That's all good. And right now we are not really packaging this up. So if we don't need the lead, it's just staying here, and these are being deactivated as such. And occasionally I may want some lead. I can go and grab them like that, but we're probably going to want a better solution once we move over to blast furnaces for all the metals, which will happen soon enough. But even though this is a simple setup to get going, at least to make sure our circuits are supplied, it's not very nice. It's not very nice because it isn't using the nice sorting facilities we've got. It isn't using the blast furnaces. So we're going to want to have some kind of solution really for that. And I want something ideally in a building, just so that we can move it around first of all. So it's much like an early version of a blueprint, which this is one of the big bonuses of having something like Factorissimo installed. So why don't we just do that? Why don't we just put a building down just for now? And we're going to assume we're going to feed in mineral sludge to this thing at some point. So let's just put it out here for now. And you can see the inputs are here. Let's feed in some power, first of all. So that's got some power to the building. And then we're going to feed in some mineral sludge, and we're going to get some stuff out. It's very tempting to put both of these two things in one building. Don't. Okay, just like our Satisfactory playthrough, we want to have a sort of, potentially a pass-through system. That's one option. So we could have, for example, you know, a pipe coming in, I don't know, the top here or something. Let's just put actual plain pipes in place. So we could have a pipe coming in and going through and being pulled off into this area. That's one option. It's a decent option to go with. And what we're going to do in here is have our usual setup. So we're going to have a crystallizer, and we're going to feed off the crystallizer, and we're going to want to be able to scale it up. Because we're going to want to, as we increase the amount of mineral sludge that comes in, we want to keep on feeding into this, and that is quite simple because of the basically this is a simple enough machine. You select a recipe. In this case, let's say rubite. Yeah, rubite. Let's say it's that one. And that just needs mineral sludge, which of course we know we can already make quite easily. Let's just make that. And I am definitely getting more resources out. Even though that mineral sludge pipe is empty or looks empty, it's actually being used quite constantly. I've got a whole bunch of iron going in here. I've got some more in my inventory. I've already built one of the Factorissimo buildings, and I've re-enabled the steel line. I turned that off temporarily while I got some other stuff going. But yeah, we are getting more resources through. Anyway, back in here, we're just going to get this connected up just with plain pipe more than anything else. And, you know, later on this side, we can think about maybe feeding it back out again. I'm not too concerned with that at the moment. We don't need to worry about it. This is just going to produce usual rubite, and then we can think about now feeding that outwards. So I want to just quickly check on the rubite exactly what we've got going. So if we've got rubite, this is something I've not been doing too much. Rubite? Is that not how you spell it? Am I just hallucinating? Rubite. Where's rubite? Let's pick some up. Yes. It's probably the usual capitalization problem that you get. Yeah, it's just... Sometimes it just doesn't appear. Okay. Crush rubite. They go from rubite ore. Fine. There we go. So here's our recipe. In a crystallizer, we every 4 seconds we produce 1 rubite ore. Fair enough. And then every 1 second we can take in 2 rubite ore into 1 crusher. But you've got to be aware of the crafting speed difference, because the crafting speed can actually change. Because this is this seconds is usually quoted on the 1 second, I think, and then it's modified, I think, by, you know, the actual type of crystallizer you use. So yeah, this is crafting speed 2.25, crafting speed 1.5. So in reality, we're probably getting every 4 seconds, we're getting 1.5, okay, something like that. Here, if we have a look here, crafting speed is 1.5 as well. So as long as they're both 1.5, you can actually just ignore it. Yeah, so tier 1, 1.5, let's just ignore it. 1 rubite every 4 seconds. These can handle 2 rubite a second. Okay? So we can feed a lot into 1 crusher, is the important point. So we're going to be scaling crystallizers across here at some point, but not many as far as crushers, which means I'm going to want 1 crusher, at least to start off with, and I'm going to want to feed that like this, okay? Oh, not like that bit, but like this. Okay, and we'll just feed out as you normally would. We'll get some inserters. I'm going to select the rubite crushing here, and we're going to get some crushed stone out of it. That's not the end of the process, though, because we're going to have to deal with ore sorting as well. So let's just put that there, this here, and then we've got something to get started with. I'm going to just temporarily feed mineral sludge. I think I have yeah, I've got enough back... I've got enough back stock of that to actually not worry about it anymore. And we'll then just feed it directly in, just so I can actually see it operating. I think that's the top connection. It is. Good. Let's just connect you in. There we go. Alright, so this is now connected to mineral sludge. Yeah, you can see it's starting to pile up. Very slowly pile up, I should say, but pile up. And it's going to go into crushed. From crushed, we need to then feed it into the sorter. So let's take a look at the crushed. So at maximum, 1 crusher. Let's just go back 1. 1 crusher is going to be producing 2 crushed rubite every second. Okay, however much we scale it up. So let's take a look at how much we can actually deal with. So every second we can take in 4 crushed rubite. That's good. Okay. That's very, very good. Assuming that this is also speed 1.5. Ah, that's not speed 1.5. Okay, the tier 3 is, but we got to be a bit careful. This is going to be slower. Okay, so instead of 4 crush rubite every second, we can probably only handle 2 every second. And since we're outputting 2 every second, we can probably match 1 crusher to 1 sorter, at least to start with. Later on, yeah, you know, we'll rescale that, but let's get that going, which means we can probably just go for direct insertion right here. Later, you know, who knows? And we'll have to worry about how many inserters we need for this as we go forward. So this is going to need a few things. First of all, I'm going to just have to rework this a little bit to handle the other output of the crusher, aren't I? Yeah, that's fine up here. There it goes. But down here, it has to be a bit different. Yeah, we remove you. Because we have to basically filter out all of the crushed stone. So as before, let's just set it this way. And then we will just filter the crushed stone out and then back down. It's going to need to feed out somewhere, so I'm going to let it come out on this side. AR output on the right, that's kind of convenient. And we'll just do it with a splitter. You know, we're probably going to have a few of these. if we assume that we're probably going to get 4 of these in there, maybe 5, I may have space for about 2 here, in which case I will probably have a splitter a little bit further out, so maybe it's here. And then we'll set it to the left, so the crushed stone. Okay, and that's configured. And then we can just basically insert onto this line and get a couple of pieces of belt. Don't need the high speed belt, right? Well, high speed, the regular sort of speed belt. And there we go. So you'll see that ends up pure on both sides, which means then we can just put down our wonderful ore sorters, of which we only have 1, and we'll add a second one here. As long as we put a second one of those there, and everything will be fine. That can just be controlled. We'll say we're going to sort, and outputting this, we're going to get more slag out of this, just like the other sorters we've got out here. We get slag, so we're going to need to output either crushed stone and slag and the actual ores, or we're going to basically be possibly we're possibly going to be actually refining them in here and getting the finished product out. Let me have a think about that, and I'll bring you back once I've decided which way we're going to go. So this is the concept I'm actually thinking about. Just like our Satisfactory playthrough, we have an input line and we have an output line. And the input line is going to be crushed stone, and the input line is going to be slag, and the output line is going to be exactly the same. They are going to go in through the system and back out again. You'll see right here we have crushed stone being filtered out from our ore crushers, and we have slag being filtered out using a filter inserter configured to slag, and that is going to feed them onto the bottom line. Of course, we can put more of those in. They do take more of the green circuits, so they are fairly expensive to make, but we have that capability. And then up here we have pure lead and pure nickel going straight out at the top of the factory. Okay, that's quite important. So if you imagine right here, well, we already have 4 of these going with 2 sorters, and to be honest, well, one of these sorters is mostly dealing with it, to be honest. Sometimes they're going past, but I think they're only going past because this inserter probably can't grab them all in time, so it's ended up feeding into this second one. I think we're going to be okay with 4 crystallizers and 1 ore sorter. So if you imagine over here, we're doing exactly the same, except we just don't have as many crystallizers. So if you imagine, instead of sending them here, we send them this way, and we can probably get rid of that line there for a second, and feed them back the other way. That's going to have to be there, but otherwise we can feed them going this way and do exactly the same thing going down that way, and that way we can just save some space at the top. We can keep our crystallizers nice and neat, and everything else can be configured, really. So yeah, I'll hook those up once we have some more belt, and that's pretty much going to be it. That should all be filtered, and there's plenty of space for me to actually scale things up in here, just to really balance things out really quite nicely. So that's going to be good enough for now. And then we'll have a room for a second sorter. That will then need a second crusher, which will then need more crystallizers, but I might be able to feed in more crystallizers into here. Who knows? There's probably space for them around all over the place, and I can reorganize this later if I want to. In fact, I can probably even move these sorters down, but it'll do for now. And more importantly, I can build one factory right next to another factory that's doing exactly the same, and having a pass-through approach for each one of these. And then out of the top of each one of them will come the actual ores that we want. In this case, lead. We want lead to come this way. So if we just build a couple of basic underground belts, and we're going to switch from this, which is got a bit of a back supply on it. We're going to switch the recipe out. We're going to say, no, I don't want that recipe at all. I want just going from lead ore completely, and copy and paste that. And we want to do that same thing over here with the bobmonium as well. But for now, we can just basically pull all of this out of there. And I'm just going to go back down here as well, bring this all out. And we can just put that into our system. Let me just grab all the crushed rubite. Yeah, all of you can all be brought out. And that means I can pick you up. At some point my inventory is going to fill right now, but hey. And clean up all of this. I'll do that off camera, but we've got the stuff up here. So that is a quick second version, which should end up with a nice, neat little factory. And here we have the same thing, just laid out a lot nicer. So yeah, if you were already cringing at the previous layout, well, this is a lot nicer to basically deal with. First of all, for a few reasons, we can scale up extra, well, at least a couple of extra of these really quite easily if you want to. You can see this common line down here. We can basically split it through that belt and then down to some more crystallizers down here quite easily. And that will be offset slightly, but that'll be fine because we'll have two crushers, you know, sort of, I think I have another crusher around, do I? No, I should probably make another one. Crusher. Yeah, I can basically make at least one more. And we can put it there. You can see that's already started to come through. But because right now outside here, I have a lot of, well, a lot of this infrastructure going. First of all, I'm going to need to just get rid of all of this. Yep, it's all going to go. Okay. And a lot of the stuff here we're going to have to get rid of as well. And you can see how much space that's going to save, first of all. But first of all, and second of all, it's going to probably disable my entire sort of factory setup until everything catches up. So, yeah, right now we're having our sorter here. That can all go away. Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's so pleasing. And we can get rid of this belt. Oh, yes, that's so nice. And, yeah, so we are pretty good there. We also have this splitter here that removes crushed stone, although the only crushed stone will be going that way at the moment will be coming from here now. So technically we don't need this anymore at all because it is all going to be crushed stone as far as that's concerned. So that can all go away. This can all go away. And yeah, obviously we can just replace that. Helps if I replace it the right way around. There we go. And this can just go, you know, to here. In fact, yeah, no, we're going to make that a little much better. Let's get it right. There we go. Okay, and we can get rid of all these power poles in a minute. So, yeah, crushed stone will go that way. In fact, we can probably improve that much better even later. But you can see right now we have our mineral sludge coming in. It's coming in and coming into this port up here. What I want to do is just change that a little bit just to get started. Just by making sure I actually send it to that port. And then we send it across and through the factories rather than fit it in between the factories. Because right now it's got... my main thing I want is iron and copper. So I want to make sure it feeds into that accordingly. So I'm going to want to basically get rid of a lot of this stuff here. And we can probably get rid of a few bits and pieces. Let's just make sure, first of all, this goes where I want it to go. We'll just feed it that way. Okay, so that's going to go into there. And then the remainder, well, we probably even want to feed. Yeah, what I want to do is just get it coming from all the way out here. Okay, so anything left over will then go to our tin. So it has to go past everything to actually get through here. So let's check out whether this is actually working. Looks like you are all working. And you're immediately trying to crush and you can't. Why can you not do that? Because I probably set this up wrong. Oh, I've just not finished it. Okay. So all I needed to do really is just to have an underground belt here. Okay. So I can send the sorted stuff through here. The unsorted, i.e. the crushed, will go out. And then we'll have a couple of lines on the input here. I have sort of crushed this a little bit much. We can probably get away with better than that, to be honest, and it probably should be a little bit better. But for now, I guess I can just go ahead and I'll fix it later, which just means putting this here for now, feeding everything in, and that will get sorted. And on this side, it will get sorted into iron and copper. Those will both go out to the top, just like our lead and nickel. And then the bottom, we'll get slag when passing through. Slag will go through this as well, and will also go out to crushed stone on this side. And you see crushed stone is already here. We want to get rid of that crushed stone completely. So we are just going to do the same kind of thing again. We're just going to go... I can probably move that carbon line. In fact, it's not the carbon line I want to remove. It's probably this, to be honest. But let me just put one here for now. And one here. We'll later on remove that, in fact. We don't want that way around, because we want the slag as well. So we want it this way around. And that needs to be moved as well. There we go. That's everything. And then we'll then be able to bring this crushed stone down here and basically just join it. to there. That's the crushed stone done, as far as that's concerned. And then we need to deal with the slag as well, so I will need to reroute this, but for now, that's that. And then the slag will also need to go back where it originally was going, which is down onto this line. This one coming down here. So what I may well do with that is feed that a slightly different way. Instead of doing that for now, I'm going to bring it back here. And this is going to be moved soon anyway, so I can actually just edit that for the moment. Oh, I wish you could actually have a turn when it comes out of the factory. You can't, unfortunately. You have to go one further out for that kind of thing. But otherwise, fine, I guess. I'm just going to send it here. This is a temporary thing. I just want to basically feed it out and not be right next to the entrances. And then we'll feed it all the way over here and have that be, nicely set up. Need to get more belt sorted out, which means I'm probably going to be short of iron. I am. How much iron have we built up? Well, a couple of hundred is fine. Get some more belt. We'll feed that out, and of course that's the output for everything of both of these factories. We'll feed it onto this belt, so that can all go back onto this other one, which will feed back around and around. We'll go getting more and more iron and copper. And at the top, you see right now these two just outputting onto that same sushi belt. That's going to change. That's going to change fairly soon because everything is now split to two separate belts. We don't need the sushi belt at all. We can go straight to the relevant blast furnace. So, in fact, can I even do that now? I probably can, Yeah, because this is the copper, and we can just save quite a lot of belt just by doing that. So, yep, we're going to send that this way. It's going to stop everything. And we're going to send an underground belt going there. And then this can stop. You can stop. You can stop. And then copper is just going to go this way. Okay. Right now, we can also send iron the other way. Okay, that can all be picked up. Well, my inventory's full again. I just need some more carbon. Oh, well, I need some more copper. Let's pick that up while we're there. Yep, and that's the last copper. I'll get rid of the traces of this and get some more underground belt going once I've got this in a box somewhere. Got a miscellaneous box for random stuff that I don't need anymore. Those two things can go away. Some of our ores, which I don't need. And some barren algae or something like that. That can all go away. Fine, so yeah, I can just clean this up and I'll do that off camera. Now, come on. Doesn't that look better? We've got 3 outputs. Well, 6 outputs technically, but 3 lots of outputs. Our ores here, our ores here, and our ores here. The 2 byproducts here we're just boxing up. That's just a temporary measure. We will be using them for other things, but the rest I'm just going to go to here as before. And everything is pretty nice. So if we have a look inside, I solved the belt problem just by putting the inputs onto a long cannon inserters, the output. Both of them go onto the same belt, but up here they are then filtered out left and right accordingly. We're filtering out left, and everything's being blocked by one of them at the moment. But that's absolutely fine that it's that particular one because we're not really using the silicon otherwise. And this one, the same thing. It's fine that the lead is backed up. I am going to change this across. This is our first layout, which looks terrible. Ignore that one. And look at this one. This is a similar kind of thing here. We've got our single crusher that's running at full speed. And you can see we can probably actually deal with a second crusher there and still be just fine. So if I put another one in, we can probably just get a few more inserters once I get some more iron, of course. Okay, and just feed that in as before, copy and paste, and off it'll go and start crushing up more ores. You can see the sheer volume of stuff coming in now. It's going out again on the other side, being converted into slag. These are set up to blacklist slag, so everything else goes onto the belt up here and splits as before. I almost prefer actually it to look like that. Just personal preference, but I kind of like straight 90-degree sort of sections. And then we've got to end up with the belts coming out nice and straight with a straight carbon belt going up and around the outside. And you can see there's quite a bit more crushed stone here and quite a bit more slag accordingly. And of course we're getting slag from here as well, so we could combine those in a separate place, but for right now that's actually going to work fine. That slag all gets combined. We're going to be feeding it into the rest of the setup over here. And you can see, yeah, there's a fairly healthy supply of that. Of course, that loops around and we end up with more and more materials. So yeah, I've cleaned up quite substantially this episode. You see, here's the base as a total. We are going to move on to next moving these blast furnaces and setting up this in a sort of nicer way next episode. Just so that the single building, ideally, I think if I can get both of these blast furnaces and their accompanying 4 induction furnaces, so 2 blast furnaces, 4 induction furnaces, and I want to say like 12 or 6 casting machines maybe, or 12 casting machines, I can never remember. But yeah, however many it can handle, we'll feed them in and get them going. And then coming out of the other side will just be, just like these. We'll ideally want these 2 to pass into the front of the building, like right here. We'll want them to go into the front like that. And at the top, we'll want to just come iron up plates and copper plates. We'll probably just leave these as it is because we need iron and copper as it is. We get plenty of it, but we do actually need it to keep on going while we do some experimentation. And then we're going to set it up probably for something like lead or for tin, something like that, and we'll put it into a separate building. For now, we can put that building wherever we like, but we will want to change it and probably move this circuit building out of the way, and then we'll get everything else sorted out here. So hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this gives you ideas for your own factory, which is more importantly, that's the point of the whole series. And I'm sure you can critique as well and give some constructive feedback for other people who are following along, which is the most important part. Put it down in the comments down below if you've got any particular suggestions. Otherwise, as always, guys, yeah, thanks very much for watching. Feel free to click on the like button. It helps the channel immensely. And you can subscribe and click on the bell if you want notifications for further episodes, which I hope you do. And we'll see you next time for some more Seablock. As always, guys, thanks for watching.